We got Zach. Zach was probably there for that exchange. We could ask Zach about it.
Yeah.
Before we bring Zach on, a reminder that this Sunday, we're doing another watch party for the Browns-49ers game. The game starts at 1. We will be streaming from 1 till the end of the game and a little after with a little post-game reaction. It was such a success in Shedeur's first start against Vegas. We're running it back for round 2. No Bull this time, just myself, G. Bush, and Earl. Make sure you guys tune in at 1 o'clock for our live watch game party for the Browns versus 49ers action. You'll be warm. We'll be warm in the studio. Yeah. Should be another blast. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome Zac Jackson to the show. What's up, Zach?
And Earl made you sit right on top of Jason.
Spent way too much time with Jason in the last 6 months.
I mean, you can't put your hands on your thighs like that, Jason. That was wild work. Like Zach, it was clapping. It was. Yeah, go ahead.
Zach's got a messed up voice.
What's going on?
Sound a little like RFK Jr. this morning.
I got Shedeur fever.
What did you think? What did you think of? I had no problem with Jeff Shadell's question to Shedeur. Did you not like it?
I understood it.
Yeah.
But I think everybody needs to move forward, including Shedeur when he wants to continue to bring up the last 6 months, right?
That's true. He did bring it up.
We're in the here and now.
Yeah.
And I truly think, boy, I told you this already.
Yeah.
We're ready for Sunday, and Sunday's big for the Browns and for Shedeur. But I truly think the 2 biggest days for Shedeur were Wednesday and Thursday. Getting into practice, he's done it. He's worked with Tommy Reese. He's worked with the center, right? What are we correcting this week? What's going better?
Yeah.
How am I more comfortable in the huddle? What do I know is coming at me that we need to work on? And he went out there and he played fine. He was not great, but he was more than good enough. He limited bad plays. He made a couple big plays.
Yeah.
This is all about little details and going forward because he's got a chance. And for all the crazy talk, and there's a lot of it, it is not crazy to say this kid represents hope.
Yes, he does.
And some of that is the low bar, and
a
lot of that is the state of the franchise. But he represents hope, and even the craziest people could say, little at a time. And to me, the practice field and just little football details will help him so much, and experience, no matter how Sunday goes, will help him so much. Because the other guys didn't represent hope.
That's this 100% guy does. True. Yeah. I felt no hope with Dillon Gabriel. I feel some hope with Shedeur Sanders.
And hope is a thing that, it grows when you see the dividends, right?
Absolutely.
I think, for me, the most exciting part about it is, it's not the fact that it is, Shedeur Sanders and what he represents. It's the fact that, look, there's some traits that I like about his game. I think that gets missed a lot. There's people who watch him and like him because, hey, I like the way he lifts up people's energy level and the team is excited. I like the way you throw the deep ball. So to me, from week 1 to week 2, did you see some physical things that you said, oh, okay, this is more on the level of a franchise quarterback than maybe some people might see?
I did, and I think to further that thought, the thought would be they barely had to get him off rookie mode, right? Because they got the lead. They were playing the Raiders.
Right,
They just geared down. So, you did see that. And he will get more comfortable with those things. So, the wind is a challenge. A new defense is a challenge, right? Probably not being up 3 scores is a challenge. But, since day 1, Garrett, we've seen the accuracy. We've seen him layer throws in the way guys don't, right? And we've seen, that roll out and throw. He sets his feet. He takes the hit. The ball's on the money. Is it low bar or is it really good? Well, it's both, but it was really good. So let's build on that. And Judkins will only get better if the defense has to respect the deep ball, right? Fannin and Njoku should only get better as he gets more comfortable. And if he only throws 1 interception and only takes 1 sack, then this offense has a chance to be competent. And we haven't seen that in a long, long time.
I've never asked you this. Do you see a world where Kevin, Andrew, and Shedeur are all with the Cleveland Browns next year?
I do. I don't think it's lock, right? And I'm not sure exactly how all those pieces fit, but I do see that world. I've never taken anything for granted with how this is going to go for a couple of reasons. 1, it's the Haslams, it's the Browns. We don't know. And 2, for as little a case as I think that they really have, it lies in the rookies, right? And Shedeur represents hope, and if he's clicking and you've really got something here and you can go forward next year with that guy being your quarterback, you have a lot better chance at offensive competence and real growth. I've said all year, I'm not sure what this team is really building. The rookies are playing well, but look what's coming. Look where it's been. But I think over the next month, I think that could change to an extent, and maybe a large extent.
Right. Can Shedeur be a backup quarterback on this team, though? Like to me, either he's the starter next year, or you have to, or you move on. You can't do this every year.
It's a logical thought, but until you have that clear-cut answer and until you know where you are as a team, and we don't know that about next year's team in many fronts, then I think he can be. And it clearly bothered him, and of course it did. He's never been a backup. 4-year starter in high school, a Sanders, 4-year starter in college, out front thinking he was going to be a top 10 pick. All of this, and then comes in and he's fourth string. Like, the conversation goes on. Kevin Stefanski should have said months ago, Shedeur Sanders is our red shirt quarterback, right?
Stefanski has handled this whole Shedeur situation terribly, which has led to all this nonsense. He is a good deal to blame for the craziness because of how he handled it.
Yeah, there was always going to be craziness.
Yes.
But the Browns signed up for this when they drafted him.
And
the Browns went through a 4-month process and said Dylan Gabriel's our guy. And that lasted for 12 hours before they added this to the mix. So it's been complete madness since April 26th. I agree. Yeah. So, come out and show development and be competent. That's already beating the odds. But how does it fit? How do they all fit? We don't know that. We don't know where they're going to be drafted. We don't know how he's going to play. We don't know how many offensive linemen are coming back. We don't know what they can realistically do to upgrade this receiving core. All those things will help. Jason, it's a logical thought, but we really don't know, and I think he can be because I truly think he's a developmental quarterback, and he's worth developing.
If you look at it, so the relationship aspect with Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders, does it have the ability to grow? Because the reason I'm asking that question is because it's a funny thing about winning, right? It's a funny thing about once you get into a system and then now you're the starting quarterback and now you're interacting more with the head coach, more with Tommy Rees. And is there an opportunity where, it does click and you say, okay, well, I wasn't getting reps before, but now I can see kind of some of the things that we see eye to eye on. Is there an opportunity through success for that to be a relationship that can be something moving forward that's positive?
Absolutely. First of all, it's in the best interest of both. Secondly, just organic chemistry, right? Growth, little details, talk about that. And thirdly, Kevin will never say this, but he has to wear it's failed. DTR, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, right? What's it worked for 4 weeks with Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
Kevin has to wear all that. So if he sees little things in Shedeur, if he truly likes Shedeur's personality and ability and thinks that there's growth there, then yes, that can take off and those two can come out together. Will it happen? I don't know. Yeah. Is it a straight line? It never is with this franchise, right? But absolutely that can happen.
Yeah. Funny enough, Shedeur's personality in a way probably is more closely aligned with Baker Mayfield than any other quarterback the Browns have had in a way because Baker, like Shedeur, is cocky. And I don't say cocky. Some people get offended when you say, I'm cocky. I think I'm the best sports broadcaster in America, and nobody can tell me otherwise. I think Shedeur's like that, and Baker's like that.
I think you have to be that way to make it at this level.
But Baker and Shedeur are both a little more vocal about it. Where all these other Browns quarterbacks, they're not like that. I mean, most of them weren't any good, but like Joe Flacco is not. He's not like Shedeur, and he's not like Baker in any way.
Not to open up the 8-hour documentary we'd have to do on Baker, but Baker as a rookie was humble and gentlemanly and wide-eyed, and then it changed. He had a little bit of success, and then it changed. And Baker is who he is. And his story is always great when it's going well, and he has to carry that chip on his shoulder. But he has admitted himself he needed to grow up, and he really did. The Baker of 2020 and 2021 was not anywhere close to the same guy of 2018.
I think the confidence. I think sometimes. I'll give you this. Deshaun Watson. Half of what Deshaun Watson and why Deshaun Watson did not perform well was the mental aspect of the game. Deshaun Watson went from one of the people that most people around the NFL thought was great, beloved, very quiet. He was, a guy coming out of college. Dabo Swinney called him the Michael Jordan. And then you go to a city in Cleveland and the allegations happen, and then no one likes you. They don't want to see you play. They don't like you. And then you don't have success. I think that took half of what Deshaun Watson used to be. That level of confidence as a quarterback, you have to have it or you're done. You look at the people who can't. You see a quarterback that just step backs and throws the ball, and you're like, dude, you're seeing ghosts. Do you believe that there has to be a part of you to be a franchise quarterback that has that level of confidence that can be irrational?
No doubt. And I think that a lot of Deshaun's failures were mental. However, Deshaun showed up and it was like, okay, you're the guy, you're a locker room. This is your locker room. Everyone's going to follow. Whereas if it happens for Shedeur, it's going to happen organically, right? And it's 6 weeks and it's 6 months and 12 months from now. If it happens, he earned it to follow it. Where everybody was like, okay, Deshaun's here. Well, this is the human element. Yeah. Everybody knows why he didn't play last year. Everybody knows why they traded him. And the Browns said, okay, we're going to get him. And then he get in and he stunk, right? Yeah. And like just everything that Shedeur is doing, sitting in the back of the meeting room, moving up, never getting a rep, now commanding the huddle, right? All these things he can do. He hasn't done all of those things, right? He's played 6 quarters. But it was like, Deshaun's here we go. Oh, by the way, he's suspended for 11 games. Yeah, right. Oh, by the way, he stinks.
Yeah. Right, and the bottom line too, if Deshaun had played great, 90% of the fans that don't like him would come around. You wouldn't care. If a guy plays great, you don't care. Most fans don't care.
I hate that it is this, but every Browns judgment is through the lens of this Watson failure, right?
Yes, right.
And now you have people saying he's going to be on the team next year.
Right, because it seems like he has a relationship with Shedeur.
Right, you either have to cut him and move on,
yeah,
or if you reduce his contract again and push it forward, that means he's on the roster and in the room and a part of this.
Yeah.
So and healthy.
It hangs over everything.
Yeah, and he would be healthy in theory.
That is, you just brought up this is one of the reasons why you should want Shedeur Sanders to get the entire runway and play. Think about the consideration. If you go into next year, you got Dillon Gabriel who played 7 games. You got Shedeur Sanders that played some games. You got Deshaun Watson, and you might have to if you draft a rookie, and you got 3 young dudes and Deshaun Watson who's healthy. Talk about the quarterback tracker in 26 in training camp. When you go, Jason Lloyd, boy, you don't want no parts of that tracker.
No.
No.
You can't have Deshaun, Dillon, Shedeur, and draft a guy. You just can't.
It's the Cleveland Browns, Jason. Anything can happen.
Something is think about that level. Like if you want to talk about the media storm now, do you know what type of questions can be asked next year?
I mean, the owner has twice said Deshaun was a mistake, and he's still here. And now we're talking about maybe he's here again. Think about that. Just think about that.
Of course, it's crazy.
The owner said it was a mistake. Twice.
I think you have to cut him at the end of the year. But again, you always have to have the caveat, it's the Browns. So you never know what the hell they're going to do.
Right. Like logically, Shedeur Sanders, a veteran you get for nothing, and maybe a developmental rookie is a good quarterback room.
Right.
And the top 2 give you a chance next year if it goes well. Right?
Yeah.
But realistically, Dillon Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur, do you draft one? Do you not draft one? Can you wait? Is Shedeur getting the full runway?
Yeah.
Who's coaching him? All of these things.
I'm going to get – I think my only guess, and you guys know better than me, but my guess is either one or 2 things happen. Either they draft a quarterback in the first round, Shedeur is traded to another team, and you have the quarterback they draft, Dillon Gabriel, and a veteran, right? The other thing is they don't take a quarterback in the first round. They trade Dillon Gabriel or cut him. I don't know.
What are you going to get for him?
And then you have Shedeur, maybe a later pick, and again a veteran. I think it's one or the other. I don't think Shedeur and Gabriel will be here next year. I think one's gone. That's just a guess.
You didn't mean you think Watson's here?
No, I think he's gone either way. You can't. I mean, you got to get. You got to move on.
I agree, but when you do, the cap number is 70 or 80 million.
I think you got to just eat that.
I agree. You probably do.
Yeah.
But then you're talking about team building. If you think Shedeur can play next year and have you in better shape,
right,
is your guy and takes off. And again, do you fire these guys? Well, you have to ask.
Yeah.
You interview a GM. What are you going to do with Deshaun's money? What do you think about Shedeur? Interview a head coach. What do you think about Shedeur?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, they fire Kevin, right? Everybody wants Kevin gone.
Yeah.
Everybody says fire Kevin every week. So, okay, fine, fire Kevin.
Yeah.
Who's going to take this job looking at all of the absurd questions that he has to handle every week? And just the absurd scrutiny.
You're not going to get.
This is not an attractive job.
It's not, but obviously there will be somebody that will take the job.
It's one of 32. Somebody will take it. It's
right.
one of 32.
Obviously it's last choice.
But to think that even with 2 top picks, to think that this is an appealing job with the cap situation, with the Shedeur situation,
it's not.
It's not an appealing job.
I don't think anybody's arguing it's an appealing job.
Now, if Shedeur plays out of his mind over the last 5 games, it's a completely different conversation. But short of that,
but if he does, then Kevin, and then in the end, Shedeur may save Kevin's job.
I don't know. I think we got a long way to go still before any of those decisions are made. I think.
Listen, they might not get the A-list candidate, but they pay very well.
That's true.
That's true. There's no cap on coaches.
Do we know what Stefanski makes? Did they ever release the extension details?
No, they did not release any of the details.
He's
but
rich.
He makes a lot of money.
This is a little caveat. If they do play well, say if Shedeur does play well down the stretch, do you think Tommy Rees takes a job in college or somewhere else?
I think right now there's no job for Tommy Rees in college, but he's considered. I mean, the way it's told to me, Garrett, is that every time a job comes open, Nick Saban tells people, call Tommy Rees, hire Tommy Rees. And that's why Tommy Rees has been a finalist or semifinalist for so many jobs. And I do think Tommy Rees suddenly being interested in doing press conferences is because he's trying out for other jobs.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the right one comes open or that the right team wants him. And he doesn't know right now what his future is here.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I don't think he would jump right into a Florida LSU.
Right. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
What
right?
about a UCLA, though?
Yeah, I think UCLA is going to hire the James Madison guy, but I'm not sure. And then Tommy Rees is not taking James Madison because he makes about 9 times now what that job
It's
is.
a weird spot that he's in because
Correct.
I don't think you jump right into a top job, but he's well beyond the max and that a lot of guys where they have to start.
Well, I mean, if Kevin's back, then Tommy's back, and you let him call the plays for the whole season. And,
They're both back unless he gets a college job.
right. Well, that's true. Yeah.
And then does Kevin call plays again?
Right. And then is Andrew back, and then do you keep the receivers coach and then keep the guys who draft these receivers?
How the
All of these things.
The receivers coach is the only guy that's kept his job this whole time. How has that happened?
This is very complicated.
amazing.
That's crazy.
Correct.
That's been the worst, outside offensive line, been the worst unit. I think, I don't know. I think Kevin Stefanski, if he stays, he's got to be done calling plays at this point.
If Tommy's here, I think Tommy calls plays next year. If Tommy's gone, depends on who the OC is.
It's going to be the 3rd year in a row where he starts the season calling plays.
Gives it up.
And here's the thing, too. Say there is change, right? It's not just the Haslams asking the candidates what they think. It's those people calling Tommy Rees and saying, what do you think about Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Really quickly, what is the percent chance that Jim Schwartz would even be considered for the job? If
I think he would have to be, Garrett. If I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, Jim Schwartz is my call, my only one call, right? But who knows what's going to happen there?
Think they're going to fire Zach Taylor? I hope they do.
I think they have to.
Unless Burrow runs the table this
Correct. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Jim Schwartz would be a legit candidate. I think the most important question is, what does Jim Schwartz think about this situation? What his own career, this situation, and what it would be. Because Jim Schwartz has been the hire of the century by the Cleveland Browns.
He has been. He really has been.
Hey,
and if he gets a head coaching job and it doesn't go well, then he's not getting another one.
Correct.
Because this will be his second.
And he might already be out of that mode.
Right.
Like, he was out of the game altogether.
Yeah.
What's the first time I heard somebody said something positive about Jim Schwartz taking a job?
Yeah.
Because most people think like,
He's
he's
too
done,
old or whatever.
he's
I
not
don't
getting it. But okay.
We didn't talk anything about the defense. If you want to hear more about the defense from Zach, check out the podcast, The Bullpen. We talked about the defense earlier in the day.
That was good. I like
you
what
go.
you did right there.
All right,
Zach, we
good stuff.
appreciate you. Hopefully your
Thank
voice
you.
is
Appreciate
cured
it.
of Shedeur
Feel
fever
better?
by
Well, you're not
Sunday,
sick. You just have a
especially
scratchy
all
voice.
the
It's
sweating.
bad.
All right, we'll see you later. There you go.
That was